In my Dragon Ball Z episode, I talked about my love and the death of my love for anime. However, with my interest in anime waning over the years, I found a new love in Western animation and cartoons. Something about cartoons focusing on short-term mini-adventures with arcs developing in the background is much more digestible than most anime, in which arcs are the primary focus for multiple episodes at a time. And one of my favorite cartoons that has sprung up in the past few years is Steven Universe. I only got into it because my sister said I looked and acted like the main character, and well, I kinda see it. Anyways, well, this show, especially on YouTube, has been the subject of many debates on whether or not it's racist or amazingly inclusive, terrible for kids to watch or exposing kids to new aspects of the world, is very good or horrifically bad. I'm not here for any debates on the quality of the show, but rather it's video game tie-in. Save the light. Let's begin. In April of 2015, Grumpy Face Studios released a mobile game called Steven Universe: Attack the Light, and while mobile games usually get pretty bad reps on the internet, this game was a solid small-scale RPG, basically plopping you in a dungeon with the four main characters and telling you to run around until you find the exit. Now picture that concept, but with 3 new characters and a metric fuck-ton of budget in comparison to the last one, and you get a foundationally not as solid, but overall better experience. Halloween of 2017, we were blessed with Save the Light on PS4, with Xbox getting it about a week later, and Steam and Switch both getting the game about a year later from that. If you're wondering why I decided to wait to review it until now when the game was released in mid-2018, let me tell you, it's a bitch and a half. They teased this DLC with a new character since before the game came out, and it never happened. And every time I got ready to review it, there was this possibility it could drop again. I'm a guy who wants to review the whole experience, so I waited about 2 years before talking about it on YouTube, but since there's no chance of the DLC actually dropping now, well, here I am. I have now played this game twice, on both Xbox One and Switch, and let me tell you, both are fucked up in their own special way. The game revolves around the Light Prism, the MacGuffin from the mobile game, going evil again when its original creator of Hessenite, a gem created just for this game, decides to show up and steal it back, using its powers of light creation to make another army. This leads to Steven and friends going on a wild goose chase to get it back, and defeat Hessenite. This plot does all it has to do, but leaves a lot to be desired. My description of the plot may sound lackluster, but the plot is just that. Lackluster, basically only serving as a means to get you to go from place to place. And these places are only as original and interesting as a new Super Mario Bros. Game. There's the areas that appear in the show, but then there's generic snow area, generic forest, generic fire area that they put under Business Forge to tie it into the show, generic grass area that they put strawberries in to tie it back into the show. You know what I'm getting at? The only time you feel like you're truly exploring the world of Steven Universe is when you're in Beach City or the barn. Other times it's just exploring random areas with the cast, which isn't necessarily bad, but it gets super samey and repetitive when you play the game in one sitting, especially when each member of the cast only has 3 dialogue options in battle. You're gonna be hearing the same tidbits over and over again. What really does make you feel like you're in the world of Steven Universe, however, is the gameplay. The gameplay is a semi-turn-based RPG. See, each attack uses up a designated amount of these star points, and star points refresh every 15 seconds. Any character on any side of the battle can attack at any time, but when you run out of star points, you have to defend yourself until they refresh. You can shorten the time by timing perfect attacks or blocks, using similar active combat mechanics as games like the Mario and Luigi series and the older Paper Mario games. Each character has a ton of abilities, and only more when you fill out their skill tree. Each character also has the ability to encourage one another using certain abilities. For example, Steven heals Connie, Connie defends Steven. They fill up a meter together, and when it's filled, it does one of 3 things depending on the characters. Characters with fusions will fuse and function as a new character. Certain characters have cool team-up attacks, and other characters have off-the-wall combinations, usually buffing up the character or one of their attacks. However, these are mostly used for characters who don't have too much screen time together, or at least characters who don't fight together often. And oh boy, how did I get this far without even touching on the character selection? There are 7 characters who all have their kinda niche in the game. Steven acts as the healer of the team, being able to shield his teammates, heal them, and buff them with his ukulele and items from his backpack. Connie is a knight, being able to defend other teammates and serving as a pretty powerful character when the timing is right. Greg is a bard, having an area of effect attack that can either heal the party, attack enemies, or speed up the star meter refresh rate. Peridot is literally the engineer from Team Fortress 2, building turrets and other gadgets to help the team. Garnet is a tank, basically acting as a wall when the rest of the team is getting bullied. Pearl is a glass cannon, offering high damage but pretty bad everything else. And lastly, Amethyst is weaker overall, but her kit is specialized to be able to hit multiple opponents with almost every attack. These characters are pretty clear-cut with how they want you to play them, but you can customize them somewhat using the skill tree system, which, in a game with many faults, a good skill tree always gets my goat. I love filling out these babies. My main problem with the character selections is that I feel punished for using certain characters over others. For instance, Greg is super useful, but if I use him too much, I lose out on some of the cool attacks and originality that comes with the other gems. Peridot is super strong, but has to be close to max level to even achieve some of that strongness. Pearl is always useless. She's actually the worst gem in this game. Now, I've sung this game's praises, which for the most part average this game out to being a pretty great game, with good albeit kinda lazy tie-ins to the actual show, and fun gameplay. But this game is glitchy as fuck. If this game was still in its launch week, such as how it was when I originally played it on the Xbox, I could forgive this. But the Switch re-release that came out a fucking year later had more issues than the Xbox version. Areas being inaccessible when they were supposed to be accessible, soft locking left and right, abusing collision to access areas you shouldn't be able to. Parts of it still feel really buggy and unfinished, which isn't too bad, I guess, as long as the gameplay isn't completely broken by it. But I have to knock it off, as it's a game that has been out for years at this point. I'm still running into issues for it. I understand Grumpy Face is a smaller studio that's bread and butter is mobile games, but these are too often and too glaringly obvious to ignore sometimes. My first few times trying to defeat the final boss, Peridot kept glitching through the floor, leading to the game soft locking. It was pretty rough. This game, no doubt, is a fun time, especially for Steven Universe fans. However, I think even non-Steven Universe fans could enjoy this. It's a small RPG that has some genuinely fun gameplay, but with the glitchiness and overall disconnect between the game and the show, I have to give this game a 7 out of 10. Good, but limited in way too many areas. Now with that out of the way, do the likes and the subscribes. I've been RVRocks, and thank you so much for watching. Now, I patiently wait for Season 6 of Steven Universe. I'll wait till I die, Rebecca.